Good afternoon to those of you who are just joining. We're going to wait a couple minutes to allow people to log on, and then we'll get started. Just a reminder, if you haven't voted today and you live in Ohio, you should go and vote. And you still have plenty of time this afternoon. So I think the polls don't close till 7 or 7:30. So please do your civic duty and go out and vote. Okay, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Before we do the session on funding your nonprofit, I'm going to tell you a little bit about SCORE. So our mission is to foster vibrant small business communities. We do this through mentoring and education. And we hope that you as a small business owner have the support that you need to be successful. Especially in Cleveland, but all over the nation, small businesses make up around 96% of all businesses, and they employ half of all the employees in the country. So small businesses are a big thing. And especially in Cleveland, if you live here, you've noticed the last few years that downtown has been revitalized by small businesses. So we're grateful for you and certainly want to do everything we can to help you be successful. Thanks to our volunteers, in an average year, we've created these statistics, and we're very proud that we've been able to do that. And it is possible. We have over 100,000 volunteers across the nation. So if we in Cleveland don't have the people who have this industrial background to help you, we can call on any one of these 10,000 people who might be more appropriate to mentor you. So don't give up if you have an oddball business. Each of our volunteers does sign a code of ethics every year, which means that we can't make money in any way from your clients and that we can't use your information to benefit anyone other than you. So it's all confidential. This is a snapshot of our website. You can go here and find a local mentor, or if you sign up here, you'll be routed back to the zip code that you live in. We have local workshops. There's a list of all the live workshops coming up, not only from Cleveland SCORE, but in our whole region, and also a list of close to 100 recorded webinars that you can go and view at your leisure. There are a lot of other resources. There are templates for your business plan, for financial plan, marketing plan, etc. So a lot of good information on the website. So feel free to go there and browse to find things that might be helpful to you. Oh, I didn't mean to go there. So our services are free. Part of our budget is supported by the Small Business Administration, and the rest, probably 2/3, comes from businesses in our local community that want to help you succeed as a small business. So we can provide our services at no charge. So today we're going to talk about funding your nonprofit business. And if you are a nonprofit, it's very challenging. So we're going to talk about some of the statistics that I hope will help you with your marketing plan, where you might look for funding opportunities, which ones might be relevant to your business, and particularly things to consider about individual donations. So unfortunately, raising money if you're a nonprofit is a real challenge. And so at the beginning, you're probably going to have to spend up to 50% of somebody's time and effort to go to fundraising. So even though you are not a for-profit business, you have to have money to stay in business. So the only real difference financially between a nonprofit and a for-profit is that if you're a for-profit and you have surplus income, it can be divided among your shareholders. If you're a nonprofit and you have surplus income, it has to go back into your program. So that's financially the biggest difference. Of course, the major difference is that you can't get traditional bank loans under most circumstances. So you have to account for donations, grants, and that sort of thing, fundraising to make your money. So how do nonprofits make money? Number one is service fees and sales of goods. You could see it's almost half of the total revenue for public charities. About 25% came from government contracts for services, and charitable giving accounts for less than 25%. Now, most small businesses fall under this charitable giving, so you're talking about that's more like 80%. So fee for services, examples, hospitals and medical centers bill patients. You know, they are not, many of them now are still nonprofit. So the income that they get is basically from billing for services. Museums ask for admission fees. That's how they raise their money. Theaters, of course, sell tickets. And many civic organizations charge dues. And of course, colleges require tuition. So these are all examples of institutions and businesses that make most of their money from service fees. One example is the Girl Scouts. They sell billions of dollars in cookies. In fact, yesterday I was at the hardware store and there was a little table out front and 3 or 4 Girl Scouts selling cookies. Other examples, if you've participated, WVIZ has an annual auction, which is a phenomenal way to raise money if you have the ability to do something like that. A lot of the nonprofits, and I use the American Heart Association as an example, have balls or dinners where the admission, a part of it, is a donation to the nonprofit. And many of you participate in 5 or 10K runs or walks to benefit some small nonprofits. So when you're starting out, you have to think about how much is it going to cost me to do this, and how big a network do I have that might participate that will pay the fees. and usually it's maybe $25 or $30. And you get a t-shirt, which probably costs $5. So the run then benefits the nonprofit for $10 or $15, which adds up if you have a sizable number of groups. So small profit, this data was updated yesterday. So if you're doing research on funding, this is pretty good data. So the charitable giving was close to $500 billion. Individuals make up the bulk of it, 64%. Foundations and corporations also participate. But this is the important thing that you should be really dwelling on. 64% of total giving comes from individuals. And where does the money go? Religious institutions got the most of it. Education, human services, grant-making foundations, and society beneficial 10%. So despite the pandemic and all of the grousing about we're not doing as well as we used to, giving increased substantially. So particularly in the arts and culture, public society benefits, and interesting, environmental and animals. Keep in mind that the Pareto principle applies here. About 20% of your donors will provide 80% of your dollars. So when you're looking at who's giving you money, make sure that you look and see who are your highest giving donors, and then focus on them. Make sure that you keep them up to date on what you're doing, why you need funds. Absolutely thank them for giving you any dollars that they do, and really focus on these people. Here's, again, up-to-date information on how the donors react. These are millennials. They prefer to give online. They're most inspired to give by social media, but also email and direct on websites. Gen X, again, online 55%. Baby boomers 54%. Despite the fact that some of the older baby boomers maybe are not very computer literate, there's still a huge number who are willing to donate online. So keep these numbers in mind, because it tells you the importance of having a website. Now, the older people, again, you might think about direct mail and social media, but this is very helpful if you're planning your fundraising campaign. And again, you will get a copy of the slides, so don't bother with a snapshot. So we want to talk about individual donors. And 50%, 57% are enrolled in a recurring giving program, which means they give maybe $5 a month or $10 a month. But it adds up when they keep giving that $5 or $10 a month. And that's what you want to strive for. Individual one-time gifts average $121, which is up from last year, which was $115. Only 9% participate in workplace giving programs, but this might be partially due to the nonprofit not being aware that there's a sharing program. So now's a good time to ask. You know, there's inflation, but people don't necessarily relate their giving to the fact that their money might not be worth as much as it was last week. The economy is expanding, despite what we all hear. Many people have good cash reserves, and they feel good when they give something to help other people. So again, know your prospects. What's their age group, general income, tax status, etc. And people do want to help, but if you don't ask, they will think you don't need help. So you, whoops, you saw that a donations page is absolutely critical to successful fundraising. So keep that in mind. Online revenue is up 23% per year. Again, we said 57% are repeat donors. Online monthly giving revenue is up 40%. So again, you want to pay attention to these statistics. So you need to create a specific separate donation page, but keep in mind, every other page should have a call to action, donate on that page, whether it's your landing page, about us page, whatever. It definitely should link to your donations page. So you want to have really information that will engage people and attract them. So whatever it is about your nonprofit that is unique, different, even you might want to put success stories or link to success stories on your website. But you want to bring people in. You want to touch them emotionally. People don't give money just to give money. They give money to causes that they care about. And if your cause is one that they care about and you can touch them, they will donate, and they will keep on donating as long as you give them feedback on what happened to their donation. So sometimes, if you try to put a video directly on your website, for instance, it's going to load slowly and it's going to slow it down. We have a webinar, a recorded webinar on our website that talks about how to use videos on your website. And basically it's by putting them on a a YouTube channel or similar, and then linking it to your website so it loads quickly. If the process is too complicated, if you have to wade through 2 or 3 different pages, or if you have to register up front before you can explore, not a good idea. And sometimes the process just doesn't work because it hasn't been well thought out. So don't force your donor to set up an account in order to make a donation. The truth is, in the back end, they're going to have to put that information in anyway, and you will capture it. But if you put it up front, it's going to discourage them. Keep it concise. Make it pretty straightforward. Here we are, here's where we're special, and please donate. And if your landing page has that information on it, your donations page can be very straightforward. This is really important. Tell how your money is going to be used. For instance, I have a client who's a teacher, and what she does is collect anything from retiring teachers that might be usable. And then she tells people the money will go to redistribute good classroom equipment to teachers who need it. And she might say a donation of $15 will send pencils, pens, and paper to 3 classrooms, whatever. But if you tell people what the money is going to be used for and what specific use it's going to have. So I have another client who provides school supplies for kids. And she says, if you spend $20, the child will get a backpack with pencils, papers, etc., that's needed in the classroom. So maybe you were thinking about spending $10, you might spend the amount necessary to at least give one backpack. So think about your strategy in marketing. Let people know if you give this amount of money, it will pay for this activity. And then optimize it for mobile use. So many people live on their phones and don't even use their computers anymore. And again, whatever you do, make sure you immediately thank them and then follow up with a message saying your dollars went to support X. And you made a child very happy, and maybe send them a picture of a kid with a backpack or whatever, so that they know what they donated made a difference. Again, make sure that your page runs on a lot of different platforms, and also make sure that your website is secure if you're collecting data. Now, overall, you want to have your budget projections up to date and available to show donors, particularly if you are grooming your high yield donors. You might want to meet with them personally, show them your business plan, but particularly show them your financial plan. And then relook at your case for need. We have a sort of a mini business plan that uses for fundraising called Organizational Statement of Need, that outlines what your business is and what your financial needs are. But make sure that you've looked at it recently. If it's been a few years since you've done your original business plan, there have been a lot of changes since COVID. So make sure that you've reviewed it and altered it to be relevant to the current situation. And again, you want to make donor recruitment and fundraising a very high priority. So here, the statement of need. So it's really tells your potential donor what your vision is and why it's important for them to make a gift, tells them why you need funding and what you expect from their donation. And it offers reasons why they should make a donation now. Saying what I'm providing school supplies and backpacks for kids, school's starting soon, I need to have the money now, and will appreciate any that you would provide. So again, people really make donations based on emotion. You really have to appeal to their emotions. It's to say, well, you can take a tax deduction of X number of dollars, doesn't really cut it. It's got to be touching my heart to make me want to give money. And then why are you unique? What makes you different from your competitors? So make sure you know who your competitors are and why you are different, because you don't want a valuable donor to come back and say, well, this looks just like X company. Why should we give it to you instead of them? You need to be able to give an answer to that. So give some reason why you were formed, exactly what programs do you have, if you're social programs, what kind of people are you benefiting from your program? What difference are we making? How will our funds be used? And what difference will your gift made? That's really important. Again, an emotional appeal and an understanding that what they give you is going to make a difference. Now, you can try for crowdfunding. This actually works best if you have a very specific project in mind, that you can say, I need X number of dollars to accomplish this particular effort. Tell your story, how you're going to use funds, add pictures, videos, but keep in mind that you have to have a good network. So you have an email database where you can send out communications. You can share on social media. Do you have a network on social media? If you don't have a network built on social media, you're limiting what you can attract. So that's the downside of crowdfunding. Unless you have an amazing request, where there's been some national news around it and you're trying to raise funds for it, that's generally good, because it has very broad appeal. But if you're trying to raise something specifically for a small nonprofit and you don't have a good network, it's going to be tough to get much on social media. So these are the top crowdfunding sites for nonprofits in general. They don't charge you anything to set it up. They only charge you a small percentage when you withdraw the fees. Another thing you want to think about is legacy gift programs. People who are estate planning, maybe close to retirement, have especially people that get to the excuse me, get to the point in their life where they have to withdraw funds from their 401k, and they want to donate it so they don't have to pay taxes on it. So you might want to think of about those people. Where can you find them? And through your church is a good place, because these days probably the average age for most Protestant churches attendance probably in the 70s. So that might be a good place to think about recruiting donors. And then you want to track your donors. There's fundraising software. These are some that we're aware of. I'm sure there are others. But again, keep in mind it's extremely important not only to have your contact information, but how much their donation is, how frequently they've been donated, and what media they have used for donating. So you know how to recontact them and recruit them to continue donating to your organization. Okay, so many of you feel like grants are the way to go. I have to tell you that if you have been in business for at least 3 years, there's a good possibility you can recruit small grants from local or regional businesses. And these are some of the things that we'll talk about: corporate giving programs, grant giving foundations, federal grant programs, and state programs. So corporate giving programs are generally, one type is matching gifts. So if you have a donor, ask them if their company provides matches. If they do, that doubles the donation. So just again, some statistics. An estimated 4 to 10 billion goes unclaimed. 65% of Fortune 500 companies offer matching programs. And over 18 million individuals work for companies that have the matching gift program. So an estimated 2 to 3 billion is donated annually, where the potential is 4 to 10 billion. So keep that in mind. Whenever you get a donor, say, does your company have a matching donor program? First thing you ask them. And I say donors say they're more likely to donate if there's a matching program. And 1 in 3 donors indicate they'd give a larger gift if the matching is applied to their donation. So keep those in mind when you're recruiting donors. Here are a few of the matching gift companies. There are a lot more. So again, just remind your donors that their company might be a matching organization. Then grant giving private foundations. Again, there are a lot of private foundations. These are foundations that are started a lot of times by a family that has had a loved one with a particular disease. They want to support research in that disease. And so they set up the foundation. They make grants. They don't actually run a charitable foundation in the sense that they provide services directly. They fund small grants. So those are ones you want to think about applying to. You might need a cover letter, a business plan or a case statement, a description of your mission, and again, what are you going to do for society? Your projected budget, financial needs, and it's still possible that many foundations are trying to help those foundations that have been in business for a long time, rather than ones that are just starting out. But almost all of them have online applications. And here are some private foundations. Again, the government expects major companies to set aside a certain amount of funds for nonprofit support. And they encourage companies to encourage their employees to volunteer in nonprofits. So if you look at the amounts of money, where'd we go here? It's a huge amount of money. But even companies, smaller companies in Cleveland, often have a foundation. So if you go to a company's website, you might not see anything really obvious, but if you say, type in Walmart Foundation, you will get to the site that talks about how they donate money and what you need to apply. And they will generally say what types of efforts they support. And if you don't fall into that, if they say they support preschool education and your nonprofit is providing services to adults, there's no point in applying or trying to focus your nonprofit to fit what they're asking for. So, be realistic about whether you fit with what they're looking for. And actually, well, we used to have a grant writing seminar that really talked about exactly what they were expecting in their applications. But I think there are some other chapters in our region that are now doing that. So we are not, but there are some coming up, I think, in the near future. So you might want to check our website to see what grant writing webinars are coming up. Okay, federal nonprofit grant programs are pretty limited. You can search at grants.gov and you can apply for opportunities. Most nonprofit opportunities come from the SBIR grants. Those are Small Business Innovative Research Grants, which are generally a product that is innovative and needs support in order to complete development and marketing. It comes in 2 phases, but you have to be connected to a for-profit company that can help you with those, with the development and marketing. So it's sometimes rather difficult to get those grants. The other grants that are available through the federal government are for specific projects. They will tell you, this is the project that we want accomplished. Are you able to do that? So you have to respond to what they want done, not a project that you want to do. So that's the difference between a federal or government grant and a foundation grant. A foundation grant generally will tell you what type of program they support, but they don't tell you what that program needs to be. You can, if you fall in the general category that they're willing to support, then you can submit the project that you want to do. Different from government, where it's their project. So just keep that in mind. There are some nonprofit grant programs through these areas of the federal or state government. So you want to look at the National Endowments for the Arts and so forth. Again, they generally have very specific projects that they want to accomplish. So if you can handle that type of project, you should apply. Okay, so where do you find grant opportunities? You can go to the SBA. They will generally put you through to the grants.gov. There's the City of Cleveland. These are live links. Candid is a fantastic organization for support of nonprofits. They have a database of all the private foundations that give grants. They also have a database that lists all the 501c3 organizations in the country. So when you're doing research for your competitors, that's a great place to go. You can find, say you're a small startup, and you can find another organization that's doing basically the same thing. Maybe you can collaborate with them and expand their program rather than having to set up a totally separate 501c3. So again, Candid is phenomenal. They also have a training program for individuals who are interested in nonprofits, and they go through the whole process. They have a grant writing training program, so do check out their website. And this website opens up opportunities for a number of different things. Generally with states, they get money through federal programs that is a limited amount, and they will announce a particular grant or tax incentive or whatever that might be available for a limited amount of time. Once the money's gone, the opportunity's gone. So that's someplace that you should maybe check once a week or once a month if you're looking for those kinds of opportunities, because they come and go. And the same thing is true for the city of Cleveland. Here are some helpful links for women. Again, there are, if you look here, lots of potential opportunities. Again, they come and go. So you check them out 1 month, it's there, and the next month it's gone. So I've given you all of these links. And again, there'll be different grants at different times, but they're worth exploring. And let's see a few bonus tips here. Again, if you can find an established nonprofit that's similar to yours, you can find out information from them, how they got started, what their challenges were, how they got their recruitment of donors started, things like that. It might be wise to choose somebody who's not in your particular market area. But again, you can find somebody like this in the Candid database. Once you've submitted your application to the IRS, even though it may take 3 or 4 months to get approval back, you can give donors the information that as of your submission date, they can take a tax deduction. Once it's approved, it's retroactive to the day that you submitted. So that gives you a little wiggle room there. And then again, grant writing is incredibly important if you are going to apply for grants. And I, again, would say you want to look at local and regional opportunities first, because they're the ones most likely to fund a project. But as we said at the beginning, 64% of the money is going to come from individual donors. So focus on individual donors for your fundraising opportunities. You know, maybe start out with a 5 or 10K run, or if you have skills, you know, maybe you have friends who have a band and you charge $5, they're willing to play for nothing, and you can charge $5 or $10. Lots of innovative things you can think of. So, you know, put your thinking cap on and come up with some ideas, and never hurts to try. Again, as long as you think about what's the cost benefit. If you can make even a few $100s, it's a good start. So don't ever get discouraged. There's always a way. So again, if you have been in business for a while and you're interested in doing some strategic planning for your business to grow it, we will be doing this building capacity for your nonprofit next week. And please sign up for it. I think you'll find it very useful. So, anybody have any questions? Question, are there usually any grants made for community building empowerment connected to a brand with a for-profit? Generally, if you have a for-profit and you have a surplus, you might want to set up an associated nonprofit uh, if you want to raise money for that purpose. Grants are relatively rare for for-profit businesses. However, that link, that one slide with women-owned business potentials, a lot of those do come with for-profit women for startups. So, again, explore every opportunity. So I hope this has been helpful. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Go to our website, sign up for a mentor. And there are quite a few people who do nonprofit mentoring. And we're always very happy to help people get started or grow their business. So if there are no questions, I think I am going to say thank you and have a great afternoon. And hopefully we'll see you next week.